Did you know? There is a festival where devil jump over newborn babies. A woman called 911 for a bad manicure. And a thief took a selfie with a stolen phone. We'll have you rethinking everything you thought you knew for sure. Welcome to another episode of 30 Weird Fun Facts. Buckle up to surprise and amaze everyone in your friends and family. So, without wasting any more time, let's get started with Number 1. You get goosebumps when you're scared to make yourself look bigger. If you look at a cat that's facing off against a dog, you'll often see its hair standing on edge. But you don't see the goosebumps hidden underneath their fur, which they also get when they're scared. Goosebumps are a reaction to increased adrenaline, which is why we get goosebumps when cold or emotional. Although we don't really need them now, our ancestors would have needed them when facing off against large beasts before the age of humanity began. Number 2. According to Genesis chapter 1, verse 20 to 22, the chicken came before the egg. The age-old question seems to have been finally answered. And who answered it? The Bible. The book of Genesis states that God created all living things. It even specifies that he created all birds and instructed them to go out and increase in number. How do birds increase in number, you may ask? By laying eggs. Now, this fact only holds up if you believe in God, but it's still a pretty great answer. Number 3. Most Korean people don't have armpit odor. Research at the University of Bristol found that only 0.006% of the Korean population has the ABCC11 gene. This gene is the cause of armpit odor. In fact, the study found that most East Asians don't have this gene, but Koreans have the lowest numbers. While this may be surprising to us, it's not big news in Korea as deodorant isn't commonly found there. Number 4. Polar bears could eat as many as 10 penguins in a single sitting, if they didn't live at opposite ends of the Earth. Polar bears live in the Arctic, whereas most common penguins, such as Adelie or emperor penguins, live in the South Pole. With an average weight of 500 pounds, 227 kilograms, and consuming approximately 20% of their weight per meal, polar bears can devour around 100 pounds of food at once, meaning they would need to consume 10 Adelie penguins to feel satisfied. Number 5. Car manufacturer Volkswagen makes sausages. Most people know Volkswagen for their iconic line of campervans and the Beetle. A lesser-known product that comes out of Volkswagen's factories is currywurst sausages. Initially, the sausages were made for their factory workers in a remote location. The sausages gained such popularity that they now generate more revenue than Volkswagen's cars. Number 6. Most people fart around 14 to 23 times a day. While passing wind may sometimes be embarrassing, it's perfectly natural. By knowing what you eat, you can fart less often and prevent them from being too smelly. The foods most linked to farting include beans, broccoli, milk, and corn. Other high-fiber foods, such as fruit, peas, or cabbage, can increase the amount of gas you pass. Number 7. There is a species of spider called the Hobo Spider. The Eratigena agrestis, also known as Hobo Spider, can be found in various places around the world. This includes Europe, Central Asia, and parts of Western North America. This crafty little critter doesn't live in a standard spider web. Instead, it constructs a funnel made of web in the ground and waits for its prey to stumble into it. Number 8. 95% of people text things they could never say in person. There's something about saying things over text, instead of in person, that allows us to speak more honestly, even if a little too honest at times. While this often ends up in sticky situations, it has its benefits too. Psychologists have found that their patients can open up to them more by texting. They still talk face-to-face with patients, but for some, it can help with their progress. Number 9. Honeybees can recognize human faces. For a long time, we believed that only large-brained mammals could distinguish faces. But the humble honeybee shook that theory up. Bees can distinguish between many different flowers, so it was theorized that they might tell people apart. Scientists discovered that honeybees could recognize a familiar face, even days after being trained to do so. Number 10. The Battle of Hastings didn't actually take place in Hastings. In 1066, the Battle of Hastings was fought between the English forces under King Harold Godwinson and the Norman and French troops under William the Conqueror. The battle is commonly known today as the deciding point in the Norman conquest of England. Despite the name, the actual battle took place 7 miles, 11 kilometers, away from Hastings, in a town now known as Battle. Number 11. There are only 2 times that we know of that snow fell in the Sahara Desert. February 18th, 1979, was a special day for residents of Ain Sefra, a town in Algeria at the edge of the Sahara Desert. It was special because it was the first time snow could be seen falling in the Sahara Desert for as long as anyone can remember. It snowed for 30 minutes before the average temperature rose, and the snow rapidly melted. Since then, there has been just one case of it happening again, on December 19, 2016. Number 12. Abraham Lincoln fed his cat with a gold fork. Abraham Lincoln was known to be a lover of animals, but his love for cats was next level. The Lincoln family often ate at the White House dinner table with their cat, Tabby. And during a formal dinner at the White House, Abe Lincoln fed Tabby from the table with a gold fork. Lincoln's embarrassed wife said it was shameful in front of their guests. The president replied, "If the gold fork was good enough for former President James Buchanan, I think it is good enough for Tabby." Number 13. Some insects and small birds see the world in slow motion. This is because they can take in more information per second than other, larger animals. It allows them to move rapidly and with precision, which is vital to escape from predators. They process information so quickly that they perceive time as though it was in slow motion. It's the opposite for some larger animals. For example, elephants take a lot more time to absorb information and act upon it. Number 14. May 29th is officially Put a Pillow on Your Fridge Day. The roots of this odd-sounding holiday go back hundreds of years, starting in the early 1900s. Back then, people didn't have refrigerators, and instead would hang a piece of cloth in their larders. It's believed that doing so brought luck, peace, and prosperity to the household. The tradition adapted over time to fit the modern kitchen. Nowadays, families worldwide place a pillow on top of their fridge every year on May 29th. Number 15. Male cats have longer tails than female cats. Male cats have longer tails simply because they are, on average, larger than female cats. Cats' tails are generally proportional to their body, so a larger body means a larger tail. On average, male cats' tails measure around 11 inches, 28 centimeters, whereas female cats' tails are about 25 centimeters long. Number 16. CocaCola once bought all the website URLs that can be read as all the way up to 62/8. In 2013, the soft drink company tried to win over millennials and Zoomers with a digital campaign. Coca-Cola created websites full of animated games, interactive GIFs, and videos. The in the URL stands for the sound a smile would make if it made sounds. While their ad campaign ended up being a huge success, the websites have since been deactivated. Number 17. 4 people lived in a home for 6 months, infested with over 2,000 venomous spiders. Despite the initial encounter with a highly venomous brown recluse spider, the Barger family embarked on nightly 2-hour spider hunts, collecting a total of 2,055 of them. Surprisingly, they were never bitten, revealing that brown recluse spiders are not as harmful as believed. Number 18. Devil jump over newborn babies. Every year in June, a bizarre festival takes place in the village of Castrillo de Murcia, near Burgos in Spain, during which men dress up as the devil and then jump over babies born in the previous 12 months of the year. Known as El Colacho, this strange custom is part of the countrywide Corpus Christi celebrations, yet only happens in this small village. Number 19. Scientists can create a false memory. Through the use of optogenetics, scientists are able to create a false memory within a mouse's brain. This was done by marking the neurons that fired in the mouse's brain when in one environment, transferring the mouse to a second environment, and making these neurons fire whilst shocking the mouse's feet, then transferring the mouse back to the first environment. This made the mouse believe it had had an unpleasant experience in the first environment, when in fact, it hadn't. Number 20. The tradition of biting Olympic medals. Ever seen Olympians biting their medals during the awards ceremony and wondered why they do that? Well, it harks back to ages past, where merchants would check a coin was indeed the precious metal they required, and not a lead forgery. A lead coin would leave teeth marks, while a gold coin would not. Olympic medals are not made of gold, but only finished with gold. They are mostly made of silver in this day and age. The last time they were made entirely of gold was in the 1904 Olympic Games. Number 21. If Earth's history were compressed into a single day, humans wouldn't show up until the last second. Anatomically modern Homo sapiens, that's us, in case you're not the brightest bulb, didn't emerge until around 300,000 years ago. How old is Earth, you ask? 4.54 billion years old, give or take around 50 million years. Seriously, is being late to the party a human trait, or what? Number 22. Randy Johnson killed a bird. On March 24, 2001, Randy Johnson pitched against the Giants in a spring training game, in a season that ended up rewarding him with a World Series ring. In the 7th inning, pitching against Giants third baseman Calvin Murray, Johnson threw a 105 miles per hour fastball, but the ball never hit the catcher's mitt. Instead, it hit a dove flying by and killed it in a blur of feathers. The umpires were forced to call a rare no pitch, and the pitch didn't count. Looking back on the event after 15 years, the Big Unit, as he is known, said that the bird incident is what he gets asked about the most. Number 23. Professional cheesemakers are studying if music can change the taste of cheese. Sweet dreams are made of cheese. Swiss cheesemaker Beat Wampfler plays songs from bands like Led Zeppelin and A Tribe Called Quest during his cheese-producing process. And with the help of students from the University of the Arts in Bern, he's studying to see if and how music can change the flavor of his Emmental cheese. Number 24. Did you know birds in Minnesota get drunk off of berries? In October 2018, the Gilbert, Minnesota Police Department issued a notice to the public warning about birds that appeared to be a little under the influence. It turns out that the airborne animals were apparently eating berries that had fermented due to early frost, which was making them feel a little less than sober. Number 25. Extreme ironing is an actual sport. If you long to combine your love of cleaning with something more extreme, the world of extreme ironing might be the sport for you. Founded in 1997, this challenge proves that it's not for the faint of heart. Competitors have to press shirts in unexpected locations like high up in trees, hanging over cliffs, or paddling whitewater rapids. Number 26. A single watermelon once sold for over $6,000. A man in Japan in 2008 bought a nearly black Densuki watermelon for 650,000 yen or $6,125. This special kind of watermelon is only grown on the island of Hokkaido and has a different kind of sweetness than the watermelon we're used to eating. Number 27. Grapes light on fire in the microwave. In 2011, a physicist at the University of Sydney went viral after he placed a grape in the microwave, filmed the blazing results, and stumped scientists until 2019. Published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, it was reported that the spontaneous combustion of grapes occurs as a result of the loose electrons and ions that cluster to form plasma when the fruit gets hot. Number 28. Lefty Grove was traded for a fence. Lefty Grove was born in Maryland in 1900 into a coal mining family. He started playing baseball at 17 and was offered a contract at age 20 to play in Martinsburg, West Virginia, for a team that didn't have a fence. He struck out 60 in 59 innings and caught the attention of the owner of an Orioles minor league team. He was traded for between $3,000 and $3,500, enough money for his old team to buy a fence. Grove went on to have a great career with the A's and Red Sox, winning 2 World Series with Philadelphia. Number 29. A woman called 911 for a bad manicure. Emergency services are for life-threatening situations, but one woman thought her bad manicure qualified. She actually called 911 to complain about it. The dispatcher was not amused, and neither were the rest of us who pay taxes for actual emergencies. Number 30. A thief took a selfie with a stolen phone. A man stole a smartphone and then took a selfie, which was automatically uploaded to the owner's cloud storage. The police had no trouble identifying and arresting him. It's like handing yourself over to the authorities, but with a smile. That's all for today. Subscribe to our channel for more fun videos.